Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you're well. Before I go into the subject of this video, I just want to send out a very heartfelt thank you to everybody who's emailed me, who's left a comment regarding the recent bereavement that my family has suffered. It really, right here, and I very much appreciate all of it. And it's in that spirit I want to talk about the subject of this video, and it's really about what's going to happen now, what's going on, what's going to happen in 2026. You know, when things happen, like has happened to me over the last week, you spend a lot of time staring into space, reflecting, and wondering which way you're going, what's going to come next. And you can really put that onto a worldview also. One of the things that our recently departed actually would be heard to say is, if you can't control a situation or control the outcome of a situation, in other words, you can't do anything about it, there's no point in expelling any effort worrying about it. And I think that's very true. And I think one of the reasons that we find ourselves in the situation where we can't do anything about things is because we don't know how. And in a communist kind of way, we've all been put in a situation where we feel that we can't. And yet we all sit there as little echo chambers all over the place, moaning, criticizing, pointing out. One thing that YouTubers are very good at, and I've been guilty of this myself in the past, is reacting to things that are out there that we know already. For example, the King's speech was, in my view, awful. It just tried to ram a load of that diversity and inclusion crap down everybody's throats at a time where we didn't really need to hear it. And then you compare that against something like Rupert Lowe's, where he actually pointed out real world problems. And the main message I got from that was hope. There is still hope. You know, and you think, well, what the hell's going on with the people that are supposed to be responsible for our welfare? You know, it's really bad. One of the main things, and I want to try and do this more in 2026, is education, because I've been running this YouTube channel full time for 5 years, and I, like my fellow creators, have just reacted to the news. For example, all of the illegal individuals coming into this country at platoon strength. We moan, we criticize, and we do everything else, but we're not really pointing out how it can be stopped, the tools, the existing laws that are there to put a stop to this. And I hear you say, oh, what can we do about it even if we do? You've got more power than you know. This is the whole point. I want to read something to you, which I put out on X a couple of days ago. If you haven't followed me on X, please do so. I very much appreciate it. And I said 2026 rather, I wish I was 20 years younger, believe me, needs to be a constitutional reset. I'm fed up with people moaning about what's wrong with the country while refusing to recognize why it's wrong. You see, there's a why to everything. Many of our problems exist because we keep trying to repair and preserve the British state instead of questioning its existence, really. There is a clear separation between the constitutional rights of the English, Scottish, Welsh, etc., and the centralised rules the British state enforces over us. That model is collectivist in nature: uniform rules, managed identity, assumed consent. In the new year, we must stop reacting and start understanding. People need educating on what the English constitution actually is, how rights pre-exist the state, and why consent matters. Read, change. Real change comes from the constitutional literacy, not endless outrage. Time to be constructive, time to act, not react. And that's really how I feel right now about all of this. You see, I'm a child of the 70s. That's when I was born. And I grew up in the 80s and a little bit of the 90s. But before I was born, 1978, there were some massive changes, wasn't there, in this country, probably around the early part of the 70s, where our effective authority to govern ourselves was signed over to what you would call a European common market, which has bloomed into what we now know as the EU. Certain things that we need to know to protect ourselves, protect our loved ones, protect us, the laws of the land, they stopped teaching them in schools. Surely those of us that have started reading, started understanding, and started realizing that we're more powerful than you actually know, need to start trying to impart some of this knowledge, try and make people understand. And the other thing as well, where we're brought up to believe a certain version of events, I suppose you could call it, you try and chip away at that version of events, people do get antsy, people do get combative, people do get resentful because they believe that you were wrong and they are right. That's how very much we have been ingrained. This is how very much we have had the wool pulled over our collective eyes all these years. And it is our responsibility to try and undo this, to try and learn what really is the truth, to try and learn how we have had the wool pulled over our eyes, and exercise that at the ballot box, exercise that by teaching our children, exercise that by talking to our families and friends, and by God, exercise that and try and learn as much as you can do about what's going on. That is the biggest Christmas gift we can give to the next generation. You know, people die that have come before us, who deserved a lot better. I'm not going to be here forever, and neither is anyone else after me. We need to get this right with this generation. Otherwise, I fear what is going on. At the end of the day, you look at the Constitution, you look at the governance that this country was very, very proud of and famous for at one point in time, and you look how that spread throughout many countries across the world. And then you roll forward to what we've had over the last 20 years. In fact, the rock goes back a lot further, in my view. It's not the same country anymore. If we all work hard, if we all educate ourselves, if we all do something, then perhaps, just perhaps, we can affect a little bit of change. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for listening to my little rant. Subscribe to the channel, share me on your socials, and as always, I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.